Here, I feel every day. I want you to act. I want you to act as if the house is on fire, because it is. These are the words of a 17-year-old child from some part of our world. It may definitely sound scary, but this is the ode of all the young people all around the world. There was a need for us to act together to save our world. 25th of September 2015, 193 countries, 17 goals, 169 targets, and to be accomplished until 2030. Yes, I'm talking about the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, which are all interlinked. We came together and agreed to tackle the world inequality, poverty, and climate action. But as it is said, a goal without a plan is just a wish. So these are not just goals, but a plan. The plan to save our planet and ensure prosperity for all. Sustainable development, which means to meet the needs of the present without compromising the ability of the future generations to meet their own needs. Individuals to become sustainability change makers require knowledge, skills, and attitudes that empower them. And education, therefore, is a crucial for the achievement of these sustainable development goals. So we as educators, we have the responsibility to ensure that all our learners acquire the knowledge and the skills needed to promote sustainable development. And as it is rightly said, what you do makes a difference. So you have to decide what kind of difference you want to make. So here, dear educators, today I can proudly say that CBSE Bharat Sahodaya gives us yet another opportunity to understand how we can make a difference, not only at the individual level, but also as educators. Today we are here for yet another enriching session for all the dear educators. How can you take up a project on climate action, which is the Sustainable Development Goal 13? How can you become a founding school? What about school credentials, teacher certification, and virtual exchange of classrooms? And most important, how can you make a difference? So let's dive in deep to understand more about this topic, how to become a climate action school. Before moving ahead, I want to take this occasion to extend another warm greeting to you, dear educators. To teach is to touch a life forever. So without your presence, the session wouldn't be possible. Before moving ahead, here are a few points for the smooth conduct of this webinar. You're all requested to keep your cameras on. Any query during this session can be posted in the chat box. There's also a dedicated question answer session towards the end of the session, and you will also receive a certificate link towards the end of the session. So it's a humble request to all of you to please stay interactive and stay connected with us till the end. I'm sure you all will agree that these interactive sessions, it helps us to recognize our power as educators. And this has been made possible under the leadership of Dr. Salam. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome Dr. Abdul Salam sir, the General Secretary of CBSE Bharat Sahodaya Complex. And as it is rightly said, great leaders, they give you wings. I'm sure you all will truly agree on this about Dr. Salam. He has been a constant source of motivation and inspiration for all of us. He's the educational iconic leader, the founder of BTAC, and in light of a recent accomplishment, he's been recommended by CBSE to take training in collaboration with UNESCO to be CBSE Master Trainer. Sir holds several positions besides being the principal of a well-reputed senior secondary school. Sir is a CBSE resource person, CBSE Deputy Training Coordinator of the Trivandrum region. He's also the recipient of many iconic awards by various organizations. I extend a very warm welcome to you, sir, and request you to deliver the welcome address. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Bhagyashree ma'am. Good evening to all the enthusiastic participants, and good morning to our honorable resource person, Ms. Jennifer Williams. In fact, it is, we have had almost some 4 to 5 months, break in between the offline and the online learning and teaching. Now we are getting back again, connecting back again, and I take this opportunity first of all to thank God for keeping us safe and keeping us keeping us healthy as well. And first of all, let me congratulate Bhagyashree ma'am for the brilliant introduction she has given on the SDG 17 SDG goals and what are our responsibilities. I'm very happy to connect with all the educators across the globe. When this program was announced, I got overwhelming response from each and everyone. And more than that, when this program was suggested, proposed by Dr. Jennifer Williams, I said, yes, we will do it because we have a couple of, enthusiastic educators who are looking forward to make some difference in the nation, in the planet. So it's a great opportunity for all of us. I'm equally excited as all of you, and we are equally, excited to listen to Jennifer ma'am, Dr. Jennifer, who needs no introduction, and she is omnipresent. We should say you can see her or every hour, every minute on Twitter, mostly, tweeting her initiatives, her programs, and all. You can see her. You can be in touch with her, and she will take you across the globe. And she is so helpful. She is so cooperative and very helpful in collaborating with all the schools in India and across the globe. And we have had greater opportunities before as well for climate action projects. We have done climate action projects under Dr. Jennifer Williams, and we are pretty sure we will be given a lot of information with regard to the new program, which is climate action schools. Right, from climate action projects to climate action schools. So we are, excited to know how we can go ahead to become a climate action school. What are the requirements and what are the responsibilities? What are the things from a school side to be done? So it is a great opportunity, and let us make it so interactive and ask all the questions and queries with Dr. Jennifer Williams, and make this session a very fruitful, useful one. There will be a question answer session at the end as usual. Let's listen to Jennifer ma'am. Thank you so much, each and every participant. Very glad to be connected with all of you. Thank you so much. Over to Bhagya ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. So moving ahead, education. Education is for improving the life of others and for leaving our community and world better than you found it. So to take us on another fulfilling and inspiring journey of development as educators, it is an honor and privilege to welcome Dr. Jennifer Williams, who will be our resource person for this session. Recognized as a transformational leader in education, Dr. Jennifer Williams has dedicated herself for over 25 years to the field of education through her roles as an education activist, professor, school administrator, literacy specialist, and also as a classroom teacher. She speaks, writes, and consults on practices that develop global perspectives and social good through creative uses of technology. Her research interests include innovations in teaching and learning, equity, and diversity in education. As an educator and author of the ISTE book, Teach Boldly Using EdTech for Social Good, she champions teachers to use educational technology purposefully for the planet and for the people. Ma'am is a professor at St. Leo University, the co-founder of Teach SDGs, and co-executive director of the non-profit organization Take Action Global. She is currently a consultant for Adobe for Education and US Department of State. She has some notable honors, which include being listed among the top 30 K-12 IT educators, the top 8 academic in STEM, and the top 9 campaigner in sustainability. I welcome you, ma'am, with all my respect and regards to this webinar. Over to you, Dr. Jennifer.
Thank
Welcome
you,
you, ma'am.
Gayatri. I extend my deepest thanks for that beautiful welcome and introduction. And I send greetings to everyone here. Good evening to you all from sunny Florida within the United States. I'm thrilled to be a part of today's session, and thank you for taking time out of your evening to be with us today to talk about this new and exciting program. So I wanted to start by thanking Dr. Abdul Salam for this opportunity. He has been a wonderful friend and inspiration over the past several years, and did not hesitate when I reached out to him a few weeks ago and said, we have a new opportunity, and I know you have a network of schools within India that I would love to be able to share this with. And he said, let's find a way. So I'm so grateful for that moment and this opportunity today. And to this incredible community of educators, it is amazing to see so many schools come together to have this conversation about what more can we do to reach this agenda for 2030 with the global goals and specific focus on SDG 13, climate action, and of course, one that's very close, I think, to all of our hearts, SDG 4, quality education for all. So as Dr. Salam mentioned, we will be going through some announcements that we have. I am very excited to bring those to you today, and then we'll leave an opportunity for questions at the end. I do have a link that I will share as well that will have information for you that you can take with you and take back to your schools or look on after today's session. So I'm going to share my screen, and I have a presentation that I would like to use to help guide our conversation today. So if you have any questions or comments, you can use the chat box. I will make sure to listen to Dr. Salam. If there's anything urgent, we can take that during the presentation, but otherwise we can address those at the end of the call. So we're going to talk today about climate action schools, and we have an announcement for you from Take Action Global. I'll repeat this link, but this will be available for you if you want to check out the form. And within the form, you'll see access to a web page and to today's presentation deck. So this is a bit.ly link, bit.ly, and then you'll see it's CBSE, and it is case sensitive. So you'll want to have those all uppercase letters. I'll repeat this, but please feel free to take a screen capture or copy that link to access throughout today's call and later. So again, thank you for that warm welcome. I am here today representing the world, this community of educators who care about sustainable development, and of course, my team at Take Action Global. And on behalf of my co-founder, Koen Temmers in Belgium, we are so grateful for your commitment to the SDGs and this work to bring social good into the classroom through things like innovative technologies, virtual exchange, collaboration, and taking action for our planet. So this is some of my contact information, and you'll see here my book, Teach Boldly, Using EdTech for Social Good with ISTE. So for me, these 17 goals, the UN SDGs, this is what I feel was the glue that united me to so many educators, many of whom I see in our call here today. So I'm grateful for those of you who have been part of our work with Take Action Global, with some of our past projects, with the Climate Action Project, the Goals Project, and others. We have a special event that we hold each November called Climate Action Day. I see some people here who have been presenters for those events, helped us with curriculum development and sharing the importance of bringing these goals into the classroom. So on behalf of that community, I'm I'm really happy to be able to share some new ideas that we have and an announcement around SDG 4, which will be taking center stage next month at Global Goals Week. So if you have not yet heard, with the UN Secretary General UNGA Week, it's held every September. This year, the focus is on us, SDG 4. Transforming education will be a conversation that will take place throughout the 2 weeks in New York City in the headquarters. We do have special invitation this year to represent teachers and schools around the world. So we'll be using that opportunity to share on social media. As Dr. Salam said, I love to share on Twitter. So please be sure to watch, and I'd love to represent the voices of everyone here today, your school communities and your students. So along with the Global Goals Week at UNGA, there will be a 3-day summit called Transforming Education Summit. This will be a showcase of what's currently happening within education and the path forward for a sustainable future for our students and teachers. I'm very honored to say that several of our teachers will be represented in those ceremonies, and we will be sure to capture that information and share that back with the community. So moving from the 17 goals and our work around education and bringing all of those goals into teaching and learning, we've really been focused at Take Action Global on ways we can reach this urgent crisis of climate action. So making sure that our students have the most current research and science, that they're able to participate in global events and take action in a way that's meaningful to them, both at local and global levels. So what we've seen in our work, and I know several of you have joined for our Climate Action Project, which has become a global movement. We now have representation from 146 countries. We have nearly 3 million participants joining us each fall. And so with that project, which is 6 weeks, we found many educators saying this is a fantastic entry into the work of climate education, but how can we take it to the next level? Many school administrators coming to us and saying, we want to, as a full school, join and commit to this cause of climate action. How can we ensure professional development, having our teachers receive training and credentials with certificates and badges, to move forward as a full school, not just for 6 weeks, but across the entire school year. So as an organization, we thought long and hard about this, and we decided that we were the group, this community of educators that could help lead the conversation around climate education globally. So we got to work and we said, currently we know that we want to have a systems level approach, bringing in educators, students, parents, and partners, and ensuring that we can have those online global collaborations with innovative ways of teaching and learning through not just a 6-week project, but over the course of the whole year. We looked at some of our partners and supporters and recognized that they too believed in this systems level approach to climate action education. So looking to research, we started to see that based on these recommendations from Brookings, the step one would be to first develop a coalition for action. We believe we have that with our community for Take Action Global, Teach SDGs, and members of the Climate Action Project community. Finding ways to better support teachers and student creativity. So using technology in a meaningful way, bringing in partners like Lego to focus on how can we use creativity and play in the classroom to really work for a cause. And in our case, this cause is climate action. And then something very important to us is really leaning into that conversation around research to be able to capture learnings and advance that impact. So we know that so many of our teachers are doing incredible work within the walls of their classrooms. But how can we share out those good stories with the entire world? Empower our teachers with things like media kits so they can have outreach to local press and international press and share the stories of their schools. So these steps have been what have been guiding us over the past several months to help us to create our newest program, which is called Climate Action Schools. And I'm thrilled to be able to introduce this to what I see now 185 participants here in this moment. So Climate Action Schools, you'll be able to have a preview of this new program today. So Climate Action Schools will be taking our current climate action project work and extending it out over the full school year. This is in partnership with some of our partners that you may recognize that we've worked with in the past. So WWF, co-authoring our curriculum, NASA, Cartoon Network joining with us, and Lego. This year, we have some new partners within the United Nations with Global Goals Week, as I mentioned, will be featured next month in New York City. A new partnership with Earth Day organization. So participants in our new Climate Action Schools program will have their work showcased in April on Earth Day, which is really exciting to us. We've also just released a new climate literacy petition in partnership with Earth Day and Fridays for the Future. So if you know Greta Thunberg and her work leading youth around the world for climate action, her organization Fridays for the Future is now a partner with us. And then what can we do to ensure that our schools now are receiving that recognition? Schools, as part of our new Climate Action Schools program, will receive a banner that they can hang proudly in the halls of their school. And then 3 levels of certification: level 1, level 2, climate action educator, and a new certification that is for climate action specialists. So each school will have a school-based specialist that will receive specialized training and credentials. We'll talk a little bit more about that process as we go. But first, I'd love to get into what are we going to be focusing on with our new Climate Action Schools program. So for us, everything starts with global. We believe to reach the agenda for 2030 with all 17 goals, this is going to need to take collaboration and a planet-wide effort. So within our program, we will have opportunities for our teachers and our students to work together with schools from around the world. As I mentioned, we currently have representation from 146 countries. We have nearly 20 partnerships with ministries of education, and we have full country commitments from Philippines and Peru. So we'll be bringing in everything that we love and care about with global collaboration to lead the work. We're also focused on digital agency and action. So we want our program to be cutting edge. We want to make sure that we are introducing things like AI and machine learning. As our students are talking about this issue of climate change, how can they also be using the best technologies and ways of thinking that's available to them? So our programs are project-based learning, minds-on, hands-on, students getting together and working, creating within their schools. They're inventors, they're scientists, they're storytellers, they're creating theater productions, advocacy campaigns, websites. We've seen it all. So we'll be continuing to support them to take those ideas to the next level. For us, equity, access, and inclusion is critical. So as a nonprofit organization, we have a mission of climate education for all. So we're working on eliminating any barriers that may come for our schools, and we'll talk about ways that any school anywhere can get involved in this program. And then finally, recognition of learning. So we know that our teachers are working hard with these projects, and we want to make sure that they receive recognition for their work. So we have awards, we have certificates, we have badges, we have opportunities for our teachers to share their ideas at a global level within our posts, our articles, the research that we're doing, and presentations like today. So this is a 10-month school-wide climate education learning experience. We are opening this up to every school level. Here it says kindergarten through grade 12. I can let you know that we have had interest in early childhood, so we are extending that to pre-K through grade 12. We have a new online community of practice for our educators that we will be releasing next month. And maybe I've learned here that the importance of a curtain raiser. So maybe we'll have to get your help on having a curtain raiser for our new platform. But that will invite educators to come together in an online space to share ideas, be celebrated, and learn from each other. We're committed to school-wide data collection. So what we've learned in the past 6 years is that there are so many wonderful stories, and the qualitative data is very valuable, but we also need to show data in terms of numbers. So this year we've released our Earth Project app that helps to visualize that data in terms of carbon. We also will be leading schools in school-wide audits, so they'll be able to do pre and post assessments within their schools and with their communities. As part of the new program, we also will have monthly communications. So we have our partnership with Lego. They will be leading a school to home initiative. So every month they're going to be releasing activities that our students can do with their parents and family members. We also have a school to community initiative where schools can do outreach to local businesses based on the work that they're doing within the curriculum. So who is this program for? With us, with our mission of climate education for all, modeled after SDG 4 of quality education for all, we want to ensure access for anyone who cares about this work of climate action. So as I mentioned, we do have full country commitments. If you're representing an independent, private, government, public school, maybe you're with a small school network, or if you even have like an after school club, you are invited to participate in this program. I wanted to share, we have had early access to our application process, and we've already started to issue out invitations for schools to join in. And I wanted to share with you a couple of them today who will be joining us and representing as our founding schools. So this year is our founding year. So the schools who are participating will have that designation and will join with us in helping to build out this program for the world. The first school you see here is a very small school, only 40 students with children ages 3 to age 12, and they're joining from Hawaii. They have a sustainable approach to education with outdoor education. They're using the environment to help guide their learning. So they're going to be joining to help us lead this program around climate action. We have a school in Indonesia that is for students grades K through grade 8. And this is a Finnish Waldorf framework. So they also are looking at hands-on, minds-on learning. They're representing as a founding school for the Climate Action Schools program and also joining as a Climate Action Project School of Excellence. So last year we had 250 schools of excellence who are recognized by Take Action Global and by Cartoon Network. Some of you may be joining today. So congratulations to you all as well. And hopefully you'll be looking at joining our newest program, taking this across the curriculum and across the school year. We have a new school that just joined last week from Jamaica. And this is a school that is in the heart of the tourist district. So they're receiving many tourists every day. And these schools see firsthand the effects of climate change. So this small island battling things like hurricanes, flooding. And so their unique perspective will help bring new light to our Climate Action Schools program. 300 students joining from the Hines School, which has students as young as age 4 up through age 18. And my final school I'll spotlight today is actually a group of schools within a district in the United States. So we have been thrilled that the state of New Jersey within the United States is leading the work around climate action. And they were the first and still only US state to have a climate mandate ensuring that every student at every age level will have access to climate education. So we're now working with New Jersey and districts within New Jersey to help support them. This is a special district and their students all have special needs. So students on the autism spectrum who also care about the planet and want to take action. So this full public school district will be joining as one of our founding schools as well. So here's what the experience will look like. Our schools who are joining as part of our founding year, Climate Action Schools, will go through 2 parallel tracks and will engage in activities with the world. So the first one you see on the left is going to be a shared global experience. So every school will have the opportunity to be a part of a tree planting activity. So this isn't just go down to the local store and buy a tree and plant it in your schoolyard. This is a very intentional activity that starts off in November. So each school will look at the level of identity, first as self, then as a school, before we announce to the world in January. So we'll do this through research, looking at trees. And every school will be guided through participation in the program to identify through every student participating in research for a keystone species, a local tree or plant that is native to your area. After the students do the research as a school, they will vote and decide what is the keystone species that is representative of their school. What makes that tree or plant thrive? What makes it resilient? We'll bring that to connections of social emotional learning. So the students will think, what makes me resilient? What do I have to offer as we move into this global program? Then we get to have our students and schools creating a digital avatar. That avatar will be used as their introductory activity. So they will include the tree, they will have their school colors, their school name, and then in January, we will guide those schools to introduce themselves by placing that avatar on a global map. So you'll see that map populate with schools across the world that will be used as a learning device. So students can learn about not only the schools who are participating, but also trees that are native to those local areas. So maybe here in Florida, I find that our native species is a mangrove tree. And so the mangrove tree could be the representative tree on my avatar for a school like Clearwater Academy. And then I could learn from your schools what is a native tree that would be represented on that avatar. In tandem, what will also happen is every school will have an individual experience with 3 other global schools. So we will partner every school with 3 other schools, and they will work together to identify an area for action. Every month, they will move through an action plan. Every action will look different. So the 4 schools will decide together. Maybe they want to create a community garden. Maybe they have an invention, a theater production, an advocacy campaign, a way to work with a local business where they could take action collaboratively for the planet. So they'll work through that process, which will lead up to our big event in April on Earth Day. As I mentioned, we are so proud to announce that we have now partnered with the Earth Day organization. This is the international organization leading this effort. And our program will be the Spotlight program on Earth Day as we join together online and our schools show their tree planting and then their project for all to see. So schools who are joining with us will be able to participate in both of those activities. We will also have everything you see here, the school-wide certification and recognition. Will guide schools through the audit with data visualization. So they're going to be able to take what they learn, create things like infographics that they can share out with the world, document their learning in portfolios. We will have a new role this year, which is called a climate champion. And so every school will identify at least one person within the school to act as a climate champion. This person will be our point of contact. So we'll first bring in the climate champions. So September and October are really dedicated to this group of people. We will arm them with everything they need with professional development, They will first receive level 1, level 2 training. They will also be able to lead in school professional development, or if the school decides, they can access that training in the online environment too. They will receive the exclusive invitation to join in the platform and be a part of that private community. And then they will have access to all of those resources that they'll be then distributing out to their school educators. So the climate action educators, these are the teachers within the school. So different from some of our projects before, which were really teacher-led, this is a school-led initiative. So we're looking at a systems approach. Every person in the school will have opportunities to participate. Not everyone has to be mandated to join in. We want to make sure that everyone feels that they have a place within the program. And then our final group are the students. So how can we ensure that students have a voice in this work? We're going to connect them with other students around the world. They're going to be leading research. They will take part in all of the activities, including expert webinars, and then they'll have access to the Earth Project app. There's a little more information on the community. So we will have our portal. This will be a private space. Every educator will be able to create their own portfolio of learning. So this is a one-page web page that each educator can use to document their experiences, showcase their work and their learning, have their digital badges and their credentials, and then network with other educators. The portal will also have a space for each school. So each school joining will be able to have a school page as well. And then, as I mentioned, we'll have our level 1, level 2, and specialist level certifications. So what does this look like in action in terms of the calendar year? So right now we're in our application phase. As part of today's call, you all are going to have an invitation to bypass that application phase. And so I have that link. So you'll be able to submit information if you're interested, and we'll contact you after today's session. Dr. Salam, I would also love to invite you to be our point of contact to coordinate and support. And then starting in September, we'll begin to onboard our schools. So we're really aiming at having a slow and steady scaffolded experience. So we want to make sure that a lot of the people here, you've already been doing work around sustainability, but not all of the teachers who are joining will have familiarity with this work. So things like the SDGs may be new for them. So we want to make sure everyone has access to all of that same information. So September and October are dedicated to our climate champions. In late October, we will start to bring in all of the teachers and give them access to PD. November will be our big kickoff. As you know, we do Climate Action Day, and then following Climate Action Day, our Climate Action schools will have a special event. And then from December all the way through April, that's when we get into the work. So we'll have monthly webinars, classroom experiences, at least 4 virtual exchange opportunities. And then we'll use May and June for reflection, reporting, recognition, and certification. So these are the steps to get your school started. If you're interested, of course, you can always reach out to me via my email or on Twitter. And then we have a team now that we're working with that can help to get you the information you need. We are having virtual introduction calls with each school who's interested. And then the schools, based on those calls and their applications, will receive acceptance and onboarding. This is the form for today's call. So you can access it with bit.ly/uppercase CAS CBSE. And all of the information from today's session is included there. So before we turn it over to questions, I wanted to answer some commonly asked questions. The first one that we're getting often is, who should participate? So I wanted to share that anyone in a pre-K through 12 program that has interest in climate action is invited to apply and receive more information. Of course, with something like virtual exchange, we want to ensure that the schools who are participating and sign up at the beginning will stay the course and be with us for the entire year as a school-wide program. The next question is, do we need to have experience with climate action education? A lot of teachers, I said that, and around the SDGs, this is the first time they're going to be doing work around the Sustainable Development Goals and SDG 13 and SDG 4. So we will lead the way, providing all of the PD and resources that they need. So no previous experience with climate action is necessary. How about technology? So a lot of our schools who are joining are going to be using technology for teaching and learning. So we are going to be incorporating some innovative teaching practices and new forms of creation and curation. So using the technologies available to us. But again, same as with the climate action, no prior experience required. We will guide our schools along the way. Types of materials. So every school participating will receive all of the instructional materials. In addition to receiving that beautiful banner that will go on the walls of the school, they'll receive access to all of the online materials and resources, including the onboarding, teacher training, all of the school activities and class activities, the school to home communications, and the school to community communications. Really, the only thing a school needs is access to a reliable Wi-Fi connection and then devices. Some of our schools do have a one-to-one device program, but that's not necessarily needed. And then the other thing would be participation in the tree planting ceremony. So you'll have to have access to some of those supplies, which would include a tree or seedling and then gardening tools. The time commitment. So this is moving us from being a 6-week project, which we still will have, the Climate Action Project open for everyone, but this full year program does move it from just being a few weeks to being the entire year. We would estimate that about 1 to 2 hours per week is what you're going to need within each of your classrooms. Some will want to commit more time, and we can guide them on some of those enhanced opportunities. But overall, we don't want to add more to the day. We really want to enhance the things that are already working within the day. We do have a cross-curricular approach. So anything can be incorporated into a math classroom, a science classroom, an arts classroom, a language classroom. Everything is meant to be right embedded within the things that you're already doing within your school. This question is, who will participate? So everyone has a role to play. We include our teachers, the students. If you have an arts program, a PE, a library, all of those teachers are also invited to join in. As I mentioned, we will have a designated person as the coordinator. That person's role will be as the climate champion. Training. So we talked about training. Everyone will receive their training. We do prioritize 5-star customer service. We are a team of educators. We understand that teachers' time is very valuable. So we work very, very hard. Even though we are a small team, we really try to make sure everyone receives a response. So if you have a question, please reach out to us. We'll get right back to you. And this training will be offered as the Climate Action School certification. So this is the first time there will be a designation for full schools, level 1 and level 2, and then that specialist certification. Okay, if you have a question, who should you ask? So you can always send a message to me or to Kuhn. We'll get right back to you. And then we have our social media accounts, so you can connect with us on Twitter, on Instagram, across social platforms, and we'll continue to share starting next month with the Climate Action Project, but also with the Climate Action Schools kickoff. So here's the link, and here is our website for more information. Within this deck, before I turn it back over to the team, we do have videos. So these are, I'm not going to play these videos for you today, but we have a library of videos that go into each of the things that we have discussed today. So you can check those out. With that, I will turn it back over to our production team and to Dr. Salam. And thank you again for joining for this session. I hope that we were able to answer some of your questions. We would love to hear from you. and answer any other questions that you may have and how we can best meet the needs of your schools.
Thank you, Dr. Williams, for such an enriching and informative session. So, dear educators, if you have any more questions, if you want to ask Dr. Williams, so you may please put that in the chat box.
They can raise their hands as well. We will unmute them.
Yes, sure, dear educators. You can also ask them right away from Dr. Williams. You can just press the raise hand option. Yes. Okay. Ma'am, we have a question from Dr. Shivani Sahani. Is there a minimum number of students that is required for a startup to become a climate action school?
Thank you for that question. So we've had that question from others. So we don't have a minimum or a maximum. We have had schools already applying that have 5,000 students. As I mentioned, our school that's joining in Hawaii has 40 students. So for us, it's not the number, it's the full school commitment. So it would be the school saying, we as a school believe in climate action education, and we want to take action with our full community. So no maximum and no minimum.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. I hope Dr. Shivani, you've got your answer. Any more questions?
Yes, somebody.
Okay. Any special terms and conditions to be a climate action school?
Good evening, everyone. Am I audible?
Yeah. Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
Yeah, so
I
have put in the chat box also. My question is there any, are there any special terms and conditions to be a climate action school?
So there's our few. The main one would be, so we have internally, we're ensuring global representation. So we want to make sure that even though like a state like New Jersey is mandating that every school participates, we don't want only schools in New Jersey. We want to make sure we have representation from across the world. So we're working really hard to have every continent represented and as many different types of schools that care about this work that have opportunities to join in. So that's our first consideration, is global. The second one is going to be a commitment to the SDGs and climate education. Not to say that that school already has to have been doing work, but has a commitment to want to do more work. And that will include the virtual exchange and global collaboration commitment. Beyond that, there's not really any other conditions other than English will be the primary language that we'll use. We do, if you participated in our other programs in the past, we do translate, but the virtual exchanges will be English. We are considering for future years to be able to have translated, fully translated experiences. So if that's something that your school is interested in for the future, I would definitely love to hear about that, because that is really important to us, access. And that's it. So as you know, any age works for us, and any other qualifications would be just part of that interview process that we go through online.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Moving ahead, this is Dr. Vijay Lakshmi, who wants to ask a question. Yes,
great.
Ms. Vijay Lakshmi. Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, please unmute yourself. Okay, we'll take the question from Runa Basu. Yes.
Yeah, hello.
Yes.
Evening to all. Ma'am, I'd like to know, I think in the middle of the conversation, you did mention that you would be connecting us to 4 other schools. So that would be from your, that would be effort given by all, or we need to find out our own partners?
Oh, that's an excellent question. So that would be other schools within the program. And so you may have a school in India partnering with a school in a different part of Asia, with a school in Turkey, with a school in Nigeria. So we're going to have global connections, and we're looking at geographic representation within those 4. So that's called a quad. So you would not need to find those schools. We would do that.
You will be doing that. And would it be more than 4 if we wish to? Can we have more than that? Or we are
We
limited
could
to 4?
consider that. So we are very flexible in our design. We try to meet requests and ensure that there's accommodations if needed. So if there was a request that had a basis that would improve the experience, we'd be very open to hearing that. We've found that when it's one-to-one, that can sometimes be problematic, because if one of the schools has a barrier with technology or Wi-Fi, then that might not be an enhanced experience for the other school. So giving an opportunity to have 3 schools to work with really builds momentum in the collaborative activities. More than that sometimes can get a little bit noisy, but if it's something that your school is interested in having a larger group, you can keep me posted. I did see a question related about the content areas. So someone asking about science teachers and then also computer science. So this is
Okay, we
across the
relate.
curriculum.
I have one question. I'm sorry. I have just one more question. Like, since
Runa, ma'am, you're not audible. Could you please repeat?
I'm saying that how do we document this collaboration? Whatever is happening, we have to take pictures to make journals of our journey. How do we do it? Am I clear? Am I audible?
You were not audible, ma'am. If you can just repeat your question, or maybe you can type in the chat area. I'll read it out for everyone.
This thing once, just see if you can hear me. But when in this, say, this collaboration which is happening, how do we down somewhere, or is it like photographs taken? You make a journal. You make. So what do we do? How do we get on?
So do you mean that are photographs required to be a climate action school in this process? Is that what you want to ask, ma'am?
The year of climate. From our end, what do we need? Our end, what do we from my end, as a school, from my end, what document?
Is it me that I'm not able to hear, or for you as well? If you can just let me know, Dr. Williams. Could you hear the question?
My apologies, I wasn't able to. It's like every other word I can hear, but your question's important to us. If you
Runa,
want to put
ma'am,
it in the
if
chat.
you can please type the question, please, in the chat. I'll read it out for Dr. Williams to answer, please.
Sure.
Yes. So we have Dr. Shivani Sahani who wanted to ask a question. Ma'am, you can go ahead. Dr. Shivani. Yes, ma'am.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. And at the onset, I would like to really congratulate for such a wonderful platform being extended to everybody across the world. My query is that, is there any cost implication for trainings of the faculty?
Thank you for your question. So we have, we've worked with the governmental organizations within the US and then with some of our other ministry partnerships. So there's a cost for the program, but it's an equity-based pricing model. So we want to ensure that pricing isn't a barrier for schools who want to participate. So it is a sliding scale depending on the budgets of the schools. And so we have ranging from full cost to full scholarship. So the schools who apply, we work with them to identify their budgets. If they have budgets, probably as many of you know, some of the schools within our Take Action Global Network would never have funding for something like this. So we don't want to have that be a reason they can't participate. So we're working with the schools to make sure they can participate.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Of course.
Okay, moving ahead, we have Lata ma'am who wants to ask a question. Yes, Lata ma'am.
Uh,
Yes, ma'am, you can go ahead.
yeah. Ma'am, I want to know whether we have to work on goal number 3 and 5 specifically as mentioned in this Global Action School project.
Wonderful. Yes, thank you for that. So we are committed to all 17 goals, and we are using SDG 13 as the lens through which the work we do, with also heavy focus on SDG 4 and SDG 17 with partnerships. As with any of our other projects, we're always encouraging classrooms to incorporate other goals that are meaningful for them. So if we have schools that say, we are really committed to life on land, and we want to incorporate that goal into the work we're doing as part of the climate action schools, then we'll guide them to do that. So every goal, if it's 3 or 5, that's going to be important to us. We'll make note of them throughout the months that we're working on. But I would say we're really leading with SDG 13 and 4.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Moving ahead, we have Vinay sir who wants to ask the question. Yes, Vinay sir. Vinay sir. Mr. Vinay Ojha.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening, ma'am. It was wonderful opportunity to know some of the valuable tips, especially in this era of global warming. Schools actually, and you have taken a very good initiative. Ma'am, I just want to ask a very practical approach actually. We in our schools everywhere, I would say, take an initiative to keep an eye on the environment or go ahead with tree plantation and all these things. But again, that momentum we lose after some days, I would say. So how would you keep an eye on the schools which are part of your drive? How would you, on what parameters we would be tested actually, so that we also work hard and we get motivated?
You bring up something that we see also, and I feel like as educators, and I feel this just in my own work, a lot of us have the best intentions and we'll sign up for things and we get excited. And we know that there are a lot of things that our teachers and our schools are facing currently. We do believe that this is the cause of our moment in time, that we have to all come together around climate education. So what we're looking to do is have first off, a scaffolded approach. So we want to build over time. So we don't want to introduce everything in the first month and then turn teachers over to work on their own for the year. So we want to build slowly. So each month we will have an activity. The following month, there'll be more activities that build and grow. So we start with the level of self, move to the level of the school, out to the planet. And then each month, the participating schools will have a series of activities that they will need to complete and they will need to report on. So it won't be something that they'll wait till the very end. It'll be very guided, and it almost will stack on top of each other. So to progress, they will have to have completed those activities. I should mention, compared to some of our other programs that are quite large, we're looking to keep this rather small. So we want to have schools who are really committed to this work, particularly for these beginning years. And as all eyes are on climate education from the world, so we have organizational bodies that are finding ways to look at mandating climate education. So really, it's not a question of if climate education will come into our schools across the planet, it's when. So the schools participating in this program really are going to be the exemplars. So we aren't taking that lightly. So we want to make sure the schools that participate do have every opportunity for success. So It will be guided, it will be monitored. We will have reporting activities included, and that will be done within the portal. The last thing to note on that, the other key person that's going to really be critical in ensuring that schools participate and progress will be the climate champion. So that coordinator within the school who we will empower to be able to make sure everything's moving forward. If you participated in any of our projects in the past, the role is very similar to that of a facilitator. So in our other projects, a facilitator leads teachers. This role will be to lead a school. So hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Here is a question
Yes.
from Rajalakshmi, Miss Rajalakshmi, that can only science teachers coordinate, or any teacher who's interested can coordinate from their respective schools?
Thank you for that question. So this would be an assigned role. So the school administrator would designate the climate coordinator to be part of that group. So smaller schools probably will have one climate coordinator, climate champion. Larger schools may want to have more than one person, so it could be a small team.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. I hope Ms. Rajalakshmi has got the answer to her question. So there is Ms. Jyoti who wants to ask a question. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am, I hope that I am audible to you.
Yes.
Am I audible? Okay. So the things that we are going to collaborate, meanwhile, with the other schools of different parts of country. So we are having different academic sessions. We may be starting our academic session at a different time. So is it necessary that the project should go on synchronized and simultaneous?
Great question. So we do have schools, different parts of the world will be joining on different academic calendars. So like, for instance, South America, they won't start until later in the spring. Based on interest, we are considering having 2 start times. Right now it's September. We are exploring other opportunities if we have schools interested in that. But for the current program that starts next month, everything is offered asynchronously with synchronous opportunities as well. So things like webinars, events, meetings, and then if schools aren't able to join as if it's a time of day issue, then they can watch the recording. If it's a time of year where the school is not in session, then we'll work with that individual school to create alternatives. So we don't want, again, back to access, we don't want that to be a barrier. So we're looking at having different options. So we're just waiting to hear from schools what they would prefer.
Thank you, ma'am. Dr. Williams, Runa ma'am was not audible earlier. So she just
good.
posted the question now. So she wants to know that how will this entire journey be documented, and what will be what they're supposed to do at the end of each of the activities that will be assigned.
So this, thank you for that question. And I'm glad that we were able to hear from you on that. So as I mentioned, we have a new platform. So a whole new website that is a community-based website that is going to be private. So the access will be only given to people participating in this program. And then every person participating in the program will have a page, and then all of the activities per month will be located there with the resources. And then they will have to document and report within that. So you can kind of think of it as a portfolio of learning that will grow over time. We are teacher facing, so we're working with educators. We don't work with students, so the students don't need to report. The teachers in the schools will be reporting on behalf of the classrooms. So that will be documented. And then permissions would need to be obtained. So anyone who is sharing student faces, student videos that have students in them, we would work with them to obtain those permissions. As you know, we always have a lot of interest from outside organizations and press who care about showcasing some of our projects. So in those situations, we would do outreach to the teachers and gain permissions before we would do that. But we'd love to have those types of experiences for our school too. So hopefully that answers that question, but the platform won't be open until next month.
Okay, Thank you, ma'am. Here we have one question from Seema, ma'am. She's asking if you will be sharing some activities that can be followed by the participating schools.
Hi, Seema. So the activities, the ones I described today, the overview, those are going to be the main program activities. So the experience with the tree planting, and then the experience with working with the 3 other global schools on building out a school-wide climate action project. And so the individual lessons that are a part of that aren't going to be released, but we can share them within that interview session that we'll have with each school.
I think there's a similar question you've got. Will there be any kind of planner?
Yes. Okay. So the planner will be virtual. It'll be online, and that will be on the platform. So the platform will actually show, here are the activities you need to do this month. It won't be week to week. We really want to give a full month, so schools have some flexibility, and they will be able to access the activities, the resources, and then if they need support on that. But those templates will be used and then shared back within the portal.
Okay, we have one more question. Our schools are exam oriented, so whether this will help this in any way. So
Yes. So we have a project-based learning approach. So we are all about inquiry. We're not necessarily giving answers. We're encouraging our students to go out and find them on their own. So we believe our students are creators, that they're inventing the world that they want to see. What we've also seen, and research supports, that by being engaged in those types of activities of inquiry, exploration, research, collaboration, our students are opened up to new perspectives and new types of learning that we believe can help them if you are doing exams within your school. So we have a heavy emphasis on science, math, data. We talked about that. So with this project specifically, we're really looking at data collection, and then how do you showcase that impact in terms of numbers? And then also communication. So we're looking at literacy in terms of reading, writing, speaking, and listening, but also enhanced forms of literacy like media literacy, digital citizenship, and this new form of literacy called climate literacy. So we are big believers in that, and participation in projects like this will enhance the students' learning and also teacher learning that can then increase their success with exams.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Dear educators, if we have any more questions, you can please either press the raise hand button or you can put it in the chat box. Thank you, Dr. Williams, for all your patience.
Oh, thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity and for facilitating these questions. And thank you to this community of educators again. I know it is Friday evening and you're taking time out of your personal moment with your family, being with us today. I definitely applaud you all for the work that you're doing. I hope that you will reach out, and if you have interest in being a part of our new Climate Action Schools program, we would love to hear from you. I don't want to leave without saying again, thank you to Dr. Salam for responding to my outreach and always being so incredibly supportive. I recognize that you are a connector and you bring so many people together in learning and collaboration. So thank you for all that you do. And I hope to collaborate with you more soon.
Thank you, Dr. Williams. Thank you again. And I hope all our educators have got the answers to their queries with respect to today's session. With that, we have come to the end of this webinar. And it's such a great honor and privilege to get the opportunity to thank you all. I, on behalf of Bharat Sahodaya, express my heartfelt gratitude and deep sense of appreciation to Dr. Williams for such an informative and enriching session today. There's so much to take from today's session, ma'am. As it is rightly said, the greatest threat to our planet is that somebody else will save it. So each one of us, all of us we have to contribute to save it. The wonderful guidance and learning experience from today's session will undoubtedly, I think, assist all the educators in pursuing the education for sustainable development and also learning how to become active climate action schools, so that we as educators, we can assist these young minds in understanding the effects of global warming and to raise the level of climate literacy among the youth. I think it will unquestionably inspire and motivate people to act around. So thank you again, ma'am, for such a lovely session. Thank you, ma'am. A very humble and special thanks to Dr. Abdul Salam, sir, for all his unparalleled support and guidance. Thank you, sir. And also my heartfelt gratitude and thanks to all the educators for participating and being interactive throughout the session. Dr. Abdul Salam, sir, over to you.
Thank you, Bhagya, ma'am. And yes, of course, there was so much to learn. And the program is very much clear to each and everyone. I got a lot of idea how we can go ahead. So thank you so much, Dr. Jennifer, for your time and for the wonderful presentation. The presentation was crystal clear, and more than that, the questions were, so beneficial, which you answered very clearly as well. And there was, participants were asking whether they would be getting certificates for participation. Since it is hosted by Dr. Jennifer Williams, I'm requesting Doctor to give away the certificates on your behalf in the banner of TAG, that means Take Action Global. I may be sharing their details with you, their emails and all with you, so that you can send the participation certificates of today's session. That also is a kind of motivation to the participants who will be connected with us for our further initiatives and collaborations. Thank you so much, Dr. Jennifer, and I hope you would be considering our request of sending the participation certificates to all the educators and to even to our moderator as well. Right, Bhagya ma'am? Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the wonderful, presentation, moderation, and as usual, this is the first session after a long break. We are resuming with you and Dr. Jennifer Williams, and which became a success because of everybody's support and presence. So on behalf of Bharat Sahodaya, I take this opportunity to thank profusely Dr. Jennifer Williams for her time. It is early morning there in your place, and also, as you said, we teachers are very much tired after our session in school. So thank you so much, all the participants, for your interest, for your enthusiasm, and more than that, your commitment and passion to do something for the learners, for the world, for the planet. So thank you so much for connecting with us. We are looking forward to connecting with you again. We will be joining you all again and again if God graces all of us. So thank you so much, each and everyone. And I would like to, Dr. Jennifer Williams to have something about, like about the certificate, how we can go about. You can please tell the participants. Thank you. Dr. Jennifer, we cannot hear you.
Thank you. It was kind of going in and out on the mute. Perfect. Thank you for that request. I'm happy to and honored to follow through on that. I will watch for next steps on the certificate from you to get a list of names, and then if you need us to send those, but Take Action Global would be happy, of course, to support on recognition for everyone's time here today.
Thank you so much. So I hope, all participants will receive their certificates very soon. Thanks once again to each and everyone. Bhagyashree ma'am. And good night to everyone, and good day to Jennifer ma'am.
Thank you all. Good night and have a wonderful weekend.
Yes. With that, we wrap up today's 130th web training series for a new beginning ahead. Yes, thank you.